What is the history behind the no information rule? Hello, and thanks for checking out the channel. My name is Steve Chapman. If you're new, I hope you hit that like and subscribe button. If you're coming back and one of the family members, thank you. Welcome back. But hit that like and subscribe. Rules are rules. We have to remember that. But really, where did this no information rule come from? Now, the great Ray Scott, may he rest in peace, started the no information rule back in the 1960s, end of 60s and 70s. And at first, it was designed so that anglers couldn't get a competitive advantage. When it started, Ray Scott had it that anglers weren't allowed to fish a tournament if they lived within 100 miles of the tournament place. He also had it in place that two anglers, because you generally had two anglers per boat, weren't allowed to be in the tournament from the same state. He didn't want anyone to have a competitive advantage over another boat. The no information rule prevents anglers from soliciting or receiving information about specific fish locations or fishing techniques from non-competitors. It originated as a measure to level the playing field for all competitors. The rule is in effect beginning 28 days before the official practice period until practice begins and during competition. Now, did everyone like the rule when it was started by Ray Scott? No. Many anglers early on were frustrated by the rule because long-standing local contacts and guides would give information to professional anglers. Scott held his ground a lot of times, and I quote him by saying, "If you're the best fisherman, you don't need anyone else's help." Ray Scott wanted this rule to preserve the spirit of competition, a true test of an angler's ability, not a contest on who could gather the most information. He wanted to elevate the credibility of professional bass fishing. And without the rule, anglers could potentially hire guides or ask for local help to where the best spots were or what the pattern was happening during that time. It opens up unethical behavior and where money could influence the outcome of tournaments instead of skill. Anglers need to be at a level playing field. And this no information rule has evolved over time. Back in the day, Roland Martin would know the next spot that they were going to, and he would hire guides to tell him or take him fishing for his TV show. And it had to be adjusted so that that couldn't happen because Roland went on a tear. And during the last couple weeks, we have seen a lot of this. But the truth is, these days, anglers want more enforcement of the rules. Last year in 2024, when the rookies were able to get the information when they weren't an elite angler, it showed that those anglers who were able to circumnavigate the no information rule, that they not only dominated, they did extremely well. And people are very frustrated with this rule now too, because it does need to be adjusted a little bit, but it still needs to be in place because anglers who have an unbelievable amount of money can then go back, have somebody teach you everything about a certain area and learn it before anyone else and better. And we don't want that. We want the goalposts to stay in front of us. We don't need them to widen. But with Heron and Martin, all of those fans of those two guys that saw them be disqualified because they were soliciting information. It might not be what you want to hear. They solicited the information. Now, the narrative might be different with what we've heard from Scott. I don't think it is. There's more to that story that just isn't being told. That story, they were saving face for Scott Martin. But the anglers want more enforcement of this rule. This is not a rule that we can just let go. We need it in the rule book. If we get rid of it, we're going to complain of certain anglers dominating because they have the back end money to support that habit of hiring guides, hiring locals, knowing everything that's going on because a local guide is fishing it almost daily. And they know the pattern of the fish, where they're going, all of that stuff. And if you have intent to solicit, there needs to be repercussions. They need to be disqualified. We might not like that or dislike it because we're fans of Heron and Martin and other people, but That rule is in place to level the playing field, to not have an angler get a competitive advantage over the rest of the field. And it stinks. And over time it has evolved. And we need to maybe look at it a little bit differently. But it's a rule in place to make things fair. Like it or dislike it, it really stinks. But that rule makes everybody have a level playing field that we know of. Because I honestly believe it happens way more than we're being told. Because they only polygraph a certain amount of anglers, and if you don't ask the right questions, then you would never know. But that rule is really, really hard to enforce. Now, how would you change the rule is my first question to you. Do you think the rule should be in place? That's my second question. Third, are they enforcing it too harshly? Those are the three questions I want you to answer for me. Hopefully this helps you understand the rule and the history behind the rule and how it's evolved during time, because that was what the goal was. So hopefully you like this kind of content. If you do, click that like and subscribe button. Thanks to all the new subscribers and the members and all the people interactive on the channel. I really, really appreciate it, and I'm humbled by the responses I get. But if you're not a subscriber, click that button, and thank you. Friday nights, 8 p.m., we go live. We're going to talk about the no information rule this Friday, which will be in a couple days. So if you're free, come to the channel, sit in, ask questions, and meet some new people. It's a lot of fun. Remember, take a kid fishing, tight lines, cheers, and get your fish on.